So, just in case you've been living under a rock for the past few years, or been hit with a rock recently and suddenly, have had mental malfunctions. Um, since Trump got in office, he's been able to enact things that were already put in place for him to do. And I know people have a hard time understanding that for some reason. But anyhow, we've witnessed Trump and ICE kick off 2026 in the Gregorian calendar with a bang, both figuratively and literally. So, as we know, there have been two ICE involved murders just in 2026 in the start. Keith Porter and Renee Good, RIP to both of them. I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone and their real beliefs, as it pertains to how they choose to exercise their freedom of speech and right to assemble and or right to assembly and the whole nine. What I would like to say and address is the powers that be that we all have valid gripes against. These are our civil rights that are being trampled upon. But the powers that be, and beyond that, beyond just governmental, but those that control those in government, they are not concerned with our protest demonstrations in the form of marches and just standing outside of the buildings with picket signs or whatever you want to call them, with signs and t-shirts and all of that. They aren't really concerned about that. They're cautious. They pay attention to the activity, but they're not moved by it, if you catch my drift. Now, when I say things about us not being overcome by emotional triggers and all of this, especially given all of these circumstances, Trump going crazy. I'm so dull like, yeah. Woo. We gon' blow like, yeah. ICE going crazy.
Jesus! Hey! Stop kneeing him in the face! That's his face! Stop it!
Back up or you'll be arrested for impeding. Back up.
Wars and rumors of wars. You know what that is. It's definitely easy to get swept up in the emotions of it all. But like I tell my children, never make decisions out of desperation, or sheer emotional impulse, because 9 times out of 10 is going to lead to some type of folly and or destruction. So, it's best to let cooler heads prevail, come together with like-minded individuals who are positive and productive moving forward. And, I don't want to sound like I'm not empathetic to the plight, because I am more than you could ever imagine. I mean, I'm triggered by these things, police brutality and all of that, every time. I've live with this for the majority of my life. I don't know any other way other than to be triggered by these things because I grew up in it. On June 24th, 1982, when I was 3, going on 4, actually, that was 1 month before I was to turn 4 years old. My father, Jeffrey Butler, who was then 23, going on 24, following the next month after I turned 4, he was murdered by the Monticello, Mississippi police. And there was a whole cover-up from the police to the jailhouse to the coroner to the local media to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, all the way up to, the governing bodies, I'll say that. So I'm very well versed and immersed in the triggering. Now, don't get me wrong. While marching can be, an exemplary form of a united front for a common cause or a common goal, I'm not trying to say anything against that. I've marched, I've gone out to demonstrations, and I'm pretty sure I will, if as long as it's in Yah's will, I'll go to more in the future. But the fact of the matter is that these entities, because I don't like to call them people, we are the people. And that's where the power actually lies, is with us. See, and that's what the issue is. They're used to that whole marching thing and the standing with the picket signs and all of that. They're used to that. They've been seeing that for centuries. This didn't just come about since like the civil rights era. No, people used to march and whatnot, and or come out and protest in town square or whatever you want to call it, all over. There was always some form of that. What I'm saying is, here in America, while we have the Constitution of the United States of America, we have to do more than just a demonstration of us marching and standing out in front of some like type of Capitol building or the courthouse or something like that. While that's all well and good, that's why people often these days feel like those type of forms of protests don't do anything.
Granddad, what do you do when you can't do nothing, but there's nothing you can do?
You do what you can.
And they're not wrong to feel that way. Although I can't say that it doesn't do anything, but they're not wrong to feel that way. But there's more that needs to be done after that. And people forget about the other forms of protest. And oftentimes, we're not even taught about the other forms of protest. And therein lies the key to what would bring about the changes that we actually want. But it's not going to come easy at all. Check this out. So in Black's Law Dictionary, protest has dual meanings: a formal written declaration by a notary or official expressing dissent against an act like dishonoring a note to preserve rights, and also referring to public demonstrations or formal objections to policies, taxes, or contract awards, aiming to influence opinion or challenge legitimacy. Essentially, It's a formal way to object. Look, a formal way to object, either to save legal rights or challenge authority. So check it out. So I now have in my possession a link to what I like to call a petition for constitutional accountability, transparency, and oath compliance on platforms like change.org, along with a free downloadable PDF civic action kit for the actual formal phase of protest within your region. See, this petition is about accountability, not politics, nor parties for that matter. Every public official is required to take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. That oath is not symbolic. It's a legal condition of holding office. As citizens with a capital C, we have the right to transparency, lawful governance, and officials who act within their authority. This petition simply asks public servants to follow the Constitution of the United States of America, to be transparent about their qualifications, their ethics, and actually work for the people they serve, or to step aside if they refuse, that is. Anyway, I suggest this, and I ask that everybody who is peeping this video right now, go to my link in my profile. You'll see that Linktree link. Click on that, scroll to the bottom, click on the legal documents. You'll find the link to change.org. You'll find the downloadable and fully editable documents that you can use in your region, from local, state to federal office, that you're using the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. You're using that to request the oaths of office for all of these public servants. Doesn't matter who it is, from a police officer to the judge to whichever politician. It is all valid, all the way up to the president. It is all valid. It is all lawful, most importantly. And this is what actually moves the needle. They're more afraid of us doing this than just standing around with signs and all of that chanting. Seriously. In conclusion, let's execute a formal united front in addition to the easily visible yet intentionally ignored public demonstrations. Let's use the Freedom of Information Act requests in your local governmental region for the local, state, and federal government oaths of office. Oaths of office. That's what we need to start getting from these people. Lawsuits, you need that. So we would actually make more of an impact if we went into our local city councils with petitions, with their oaths of office. But we need that first. And really, all you need is a couple dozen people to show up at the council and to start doing it on a regular basis within your city, your town, your municipality, or whatever else there may be out there. Because that is where you can see firsthand how casually they play with your God-given unalienable rights, as well as how they oftentimes approve, misappropriate, and allocate funds from the city budget. That is all taxpayer dollars for oftentimes grossly unknown, unapproved, and or fraudulent activities altogether. So, and we the people need to stop being divisive and stop with the divisive antics. Now is the time that we, the people, especially as true believers in the Most High Yah and his son, our King Yahushua, Hamashiach, we need to understand and overstand that this is the time to separate the wheat from the tares, which you can't do just from coming at this from an emotional standpoint, as opposed to using wisdom and logic. Otherwise, you will be doomed to willfully accept the mark of the beast as it is presented out of sheer ignorance and fear, period. Remember, Hosea 4:6, my people perish for a lack of knowledge, not a missile or a bomb being dropped. So anyway, like I had mentioned before, click the link in my link tree, go to the bottom, join that petition for constitutional accountability, transparency, and oath compliance, as well as download that absolutely free PDF copy of the Civic Action Kit, which consists of a fully editable Freedom of Information Act FOIA request document and a full-length version of the petition for constitutional accountability, transparency, and oath compliance document, both to be used within your local, state, federal, your whole, wherever your region is. And it's for all public servants therein, all right? Nobody's exempt from this. If they swore an oath, it's for them. So, and I mean, look, several prosecutors recently resigned, I read, after they failed to go ahead and investigate the ICE agent for his actions for killing Renee Good. So, and I'm sure it's amongst other things as well. And these are DOJ attorneys. I mean, who knows? Who knows what this is going to turn into? What I know is we got to be on the lookout for agents of chaos, especially for people who may say stuff like, well, the Constitution is dead. Beware of people like that, because it's not the Constitution that gives you rights. The Most High, he's the one who gave you rights. The creator of creation itself, he's the one who gave you rights. What the Constitution does is upholds your God-given rights away from and creates a barrier, a separation between your God-given rights and the government. So they can't just impede upon those God-given rights. That's what that is. So to say the Constitution is dead, when if you understand what it's about, no, it's not dead. It's not used. There's a big difference. And this is what I'm talking about. We have to start using it. I served in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom following 9/11. I served aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt CVN 71. And we were the leading battalion for that response. And I'm going to tell you this. I know, I got people in my family that served in the military. I know many people now, in the past, the whole nine. The point is, for that many people, even when I served, some of the people that may have been there when we were there, they didn't come back with us. So, and people didn't come back the same who did physically come back. So I look at it as a slap in the face, especially as a veteran, if you're not utilizing the Constitution in which you swore an oath to uphold. So I look at it as a slap in the face if you're not doing something to utilize that thing that you swore an oath to uphold. For those of us that actually went to war, and if you didn't or not, you served. just in case it pop off. And even for the people that may be in the military now, ain't nothing changed. It's a slap in the face if you don't tell your people to use that Constitution, because the power comes from the people. Get that.
Lion of Judah, Zion renewer, find me a cure for these perilous times. It's the signs of Yahuwah.